As a teenager, I loved Spanish black beans. I still do. And mind you, Spanish black beans are not just open a can of black beans, pour it in a pot, put salt, warm it up, and you're good to go. There's a system to black beans. And I remember I loved them so much, I would always ask whenever I was having them, oh my goodness, give me the recipe. But every time I'd ask, the recipe was different. The instructions changed. And so I never really learned how to cook them until I got married to a Hispanic. And then I thought, well, now I really have to learn. So I called my grandmother. And I called my grandmother 2 times to ask her about black beans. And the reason I learned was because each of those 2 times, my grandmother had the same instructions. Nothing changed. Everything was the same. The ingredients, the process, everything. And so I learned to make Spanish black beans. My grandmother had a system for cooking black beans. And because she had it, I benefited in 4 different ways. 1, I was able to learn. I was able to learn how to cook amazing Spanish black beans. 2, I was able to teach others. So when my oldest left home and said, Mom, I love your black beans, teach me how to make them, I was able to. I had a system that I taught him, and he was able to cook black beans, Spanish black beans as well. And 3, my grandmother was my hero. I always felt that I was never going to be able to do anything the way she did it. It was like, oh my goodness, I hope she's never missing from my life, because I just won't know how to cook. I just won't know how to do these things. I just won't. But when she taught me how to cook different meals, and her system was always the same, her instructions were always the same, now I felt empowered. Now I felt like I still loved her, and she was still huge for me, but now I could enjoy her company. Now she was there for other things. It wasn't like this unattainable, unreachable person that I'd never be like. I felt I could become a little bit like her. I felt empowered. And 4, when she was finally missing because she died, I was able to continue cooking all the things she taught me to cook. I was able to continue her system. As you come into soul as a specialist, if you find a system and hook onto it, plug into it, you will benefit in 4 different ways. 1, you will learn how to offer soul for health benefits to others. You will learn how to offer soul as a business opportunity. You will learn how to offer soul in a home environment presentation, because there's a system that will teach you these different platforms or these different presentations for soul. Number 2, you'll be able to teach others, because if the system is the same for sharing soul for health, for sharing soul for business, for sharing soul in a public and in a bigger environment, you learned it, you can teach it, because it's always going to be the same what you teach. 3, your mentor, the person who brought you to soul, won't be someone so unreachable that you think, oh my goodness, I'm never going to be like them. You'll actually feel empowered that, yes, I can do what they do. And now we can just hang out and enjoy building together our team, or working together, or just hanging out. And 4, when they're gone, because they went on vacation, because they disappear for 2 weeks, you'll still be able to keep working and doing everything without them, because you do not depend clingy-like to them. That's what a system will do. When you join soul, today you join alone, but tomorrow you'll have others jumping on board with you to work with you. And as they do, they won't all do it in one lump moment. They won't say, we're all coming in to work with you December 1. No, they trickle in. They come in at different points of your life. So if every time you had to teach every person individually, because you didn't have a system, you didn't have a video, you didn't have a school, you didn't have a process to teach them, you'd be exhausted by the time you're done. But if you had a system, if you had a presentation for everything they're going to do, and you could hook them to the system, and you could plug them to the system whenever they come in. Now that's empowering to you, because you can continue to bring in more and more people into your organization and just plug them into your system and just be there to support them. And you can also continue doing whatever it is you do. So a system will be freeing to you in a lot of ways. Once you have it in place, once you've chosen it, it's very duplicable and it helps others to follow you without you having to be there all the time for them. So the hardest thing you will do as you come into Soul is try to choose a system. There may be different teams that have different systems, and your job will be to look at these teams and say, okay, I think I'm going to go with this system. And then once you choose a system, put blinkers on, put blinders, and don't deviate from that system, so that every specialist jumping on to your organization will look at you and will say, well, no matter what happens, he or she is always doing the same thing. She's always teaching the same way. She always has the same system for sharing soul for health, for sharing soul for business. She never changes. He never changes. And they'll want to imitate you because they'll see that you're successful in helping other people have better health and helping other people have their own jobs, have their own personal business. And so they'll want to imitate you. But also, if you have other specialists that jump onto your organization and decide that they want to do their own different way of sharing soul, make sure you support them. That will be the hardest thing you do. As you keep your blinkers on, support also your specialist with whatever system they decide to choose, or even if they're not ready to do it yet. Because when they're ready, they'll look at you and they'll see that you never change. You're always doing the same thing. So the hardest thing as you come in as a specialist is to pick a system to share soul in the different ways that soul can be shared today. And as you do it, you will find that you gain the same 4 benefits that I mentioned. You will be able to learn how to share soul. You will be able to teach others how to do it. You will be like your mentor and not necessarily needing them. And you'll be able to continue even when your mentor is gone. So whether you are cooking a meal or whether you are sharing soul, always pick a system, because with one, you will be successful.